site guide, or if you're like me, just pull out a pen and paper and write it down, 1161. Now for our main attraction. President John Sinclair has led the IAFC with honor and distinction for the past year, but his service to this association did not begin last summer. Chief Sinclair was a member of the IAFC's EMS section for 19 years and served a 4-year term as chair in addition to many other accomplishments. Currently the fire chief of Kittitas Valley Fire and Rescue and emergency manager for the city of Ellensburg in Washington State, he has held many positions in the fire and emergency service during his career. Chief Sinclair has worked with the American College of Surgeons, Hartford Consensus 1 and 2 on mass casualty incident management. He has also assisted the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention with a bystander response project. It is my great honor to bring back to the stage for his presidential address IAFC President and Chairman of the Board, Chief John Sinclair.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity for the past 11 months to be your president. Over the last 11 months, and actually for what has been the last 25 years, it has been my great privilege to serve as a member of the International Association of Fire Chiefs. One of the programs that we did this year, and if we can bring the house lights up, one of the initiatives that we did this year is we created a new initiative called the Women Fire Chief Council. And those members of the Women Fire Chief Council, those are 5 Bugle women chiefs. If you would all stand and be recognized and thanked for, thank you very much. This group is essential because as we embrace diversity and inclusion, the Women Fire Chief Council brings us a voice that we sorely need. We absolutely need to listen to as many voices as we can. The second group that I want to talk about is the International Diversity Executive Leadership Program. This is a cohort of 15 folks that started yesterday, and they again are going to be working together to enhance not only our diversity, but to hear from voices that aren't always heard from. So we started with 14 of the 15 yesterday, and my challenge to them was, you have to do a couple of things. You have to network amongst yourselves, and then you need to network with other chiefs. And then most importantly, you have to have the courage to tell us our blind spots. There's a term in psychology called Johari's window. And Johari's window basically says that we all have blind spots. Now I know for a fact what you all see. I know that because recently I went to my 40th high school reunion. And if you've been to your reunion, you know that there's a bunch of old people there. Not you, but you found out that they didn't age very well. Because when you look in the mirror, you see somebody that's still a vibrant high school athlete, or high school beauty queen, or whoever it is that was your image of yourself. That's the reason why the IDELP is so critical to us, because there's things that we don't see, there's things that we don't know. So because of that, I would like the members of the cohorts of this particular class of 2017, 2018, the IDELP group, if you would please stand, be recognized, and thanked for yourself being here. Thank you very much. The other thing that it is my great pleasure to do is to say thank you. I want to say thank you to all of you. I first and foremost want to say thank you to the members of my family. My beautiful sister Heather and her husband Gary are here, and my extended family that is back in Washington. I wouldn't have been able to do this career for 40 years without their love and support. Because like you, I've missed Christmases, I've missed Thanksgivings, important birthdays, and they understood that because they understood the job. It didn't take the loss of me being there make that any easier, but they understood it for the greater good. And so each and every one of you has the support of your immediate family and your friends. Your friends have to understand that as well. I also want to extend thanks to my KVFR family. The Kittitas Valley Fire and Rescue is a group of highly dedicated career professionals and volunteers that I have a pleasure of working with, and it is awesome. Today in the audience, we have Deputy Chief Rich Elliott, who is my number 2, and over the last year, much of the time has actually led the organization as I've helped to lead with the IAFC. One of my biggest supporters is Rich, and one of my other big supporters is our Commissioner Glenn Huffman that is here, and I'm not exactly sure, they're a little camera shy, so they're probably not up in the front row, but to Commissioner Huffman and to Chief Elliott, thank you very much. I also want to thank my fire service family, and that means it writ large. My fire service family has helped me grow. I've had the opportunity over the last 40 years to meet the smartest, most talented people in the fire service. And they lent to me their knowledge, their patience, their energy to help me improve. And then I want to thank my IAFC family. And to my brothers and sisters in the EMS section, I wouldn't be standing on this stage without you. I truly appreciate everything that you've done to help me. And I also wouldn't be able to stand up here and talk about the things that we've accomplished without the IAFC board and Mark Light as the executive director. It is said that without followers, leadership can't exist. Because if you think about it, without followers, you're just somebody out going for a walk. And so it's important for me to ask the board to stand and for me to say thank you. That means audience participation, folks. Thank you very much for everything that you've done. And to Chief Kerr, thank you very much for your leadership. And we'll get to Tom here in a minute. But before I do that, and I could go on and on about all the things that we've done this year, but I don't want to waste your time. I only have a couple of precious minutes left to talk to you all. This is a fire that we had a couple of years ago called the Taylor Bridge Fire. That pickup right in front of that flame front and sitting in front of that engine is my truck. I learned how to drive backwards at 30 miles an hour because I was in the wrong spot at the wrong time. And that engine we were getting the engine out of there. That fire changed our community because it burned 13 miles in 4 hours. And it crossed 3 different fire jurisdictions. I was at the EOC with the sheriff. We were trying to manage, because this started in a neighboring fire department. And the undersheriff was standing there, and he said, "You got to stay here and help me." I said, "I got to go. It's now in our district." And he stood there with his hand on his gun. He goes, "You have to stay." I said, "Clay, I got to go." And he understood it later, because it had to do with an all-out effort across our entire county, and we had to bring in other folks, and eventually it went to a Type 1 incident. That fire changed our community because all of a sudden everybody knew and understood how important the fire service was. As I have traveled around this country, I've seen different events. We go to different events. This is a scene from the marathon bombing in Boston. What I want to share with you is how important, just like Tom just did, how important you all are to your communities. You are the Citizens Life Safety Network. You're the insurance policy. But more than that, you are revered and respected because you do the right thing. And it is vitally important that you continue to do the right thing. Because all of us, in this day of the internet, all of us are judged by all the rest of us. And it is vitally important. The symbolism here is that we together stand together, and we need each other. We need each other because we go to some horrific events, and it takes a toll. But every time we go to one of those horrific events, and it takes its toll on us, it's also taking a toll on the community. It's taking a toll on the community in ways that we don't even recognize. And we are also part of the way that the community heals. When we look at the symbolism of major events, and we look at this picture that became iconic, this iconic picture was one of the things that helped the nation heal after 9/11. And it was attributed to Iwo Jima and the symbolism of that. And we were dealt a terrible blow that day. But these firefighters lifting the American flag and the firefighters that flew the flag at the Pentagon helped the community heal, helped that community heal, and on that day, during that event, helped the nation heal. And it is important to remember how important. Because when we look at this, this is a picture from the Oklahoma City bombing. This is another iconic photo. It is absolutely essential that we remember that we are part of the healing of the American psyche, of our community psyche, and it's vital that we know how important that is. Because we're out there, we rush in to the danger zone and take care of the citizens, and they appreciate that. At every local community, this sort of thing is happening. And when this picture arrives on the front page of your local community, it doesn't tell all the story, but it tells the story to the community of how vital you are and how important you are. We heard of the heroism today of the Monroe Fire Department and what they did that day in Ohio. They put themselves between danger and the citizens. And that's ultimately our job description. Our job description isn't to throw away our life, but our job description is to place ourselves between danger and the citizens we serve. And so, whether it's a huge rescue or simply the compassion of helping somebody in need, and then making sure that we've got the compassion to help each other, that is vitally important. This picture symbolizes for me the best of what we do and where we still have work to do. Let me give you a little bit of background. The gentleman that you see in that picture was one of my firefighters. His name's Danny Beckman. And that little girl had just witnessed her father commit suicide. One of the things when I was at Central Pierce I taught people was, if you can't help the patient, make sure that you help the family. We had a photographer riding with the medic unit that day, and they took this picture. What is sad is that at that particular moment in time, he needed to change batteries in his camera. And what you didn't see is what happened next. That little girl climbed up into Danny's lap, and he held her as she cried for 30 minutes. And that was the only thing he could think to do. And it was the right thing to do. But that takes a toll. It takes a toll on our members. And if there's one thing that we need to continue to look at, is the fact that over a lifetime of those types of tragedies, people, let's face it, folks, it's an emotionally trying job. And we need to do more to help ourselves, to help our firefighters, and really examine the behavioral health issues. That's the reason why I commend the great work of VCOS with what they're doing with their newest ribbon report. Because it is out there, it is important for us to look at. So as I exit, I want to make sure that everybody knows and understands that I tried to talk Tom into letting me go another year because I think that I've got the energy to do so, but he's insisting to take over. And it's right, because you just saw the tremendous energy, the tremendous talent that Tom has. Tom is awesome, and as I have explained to many people over the past few days, unfortunately, he's younger, he's smarter, and his wife says that he's better looking. I guess I'll go with her sense. We are in awesome shape. The IAFC is going to be well served. As I've traveled around the country, I've also learned that as much as we like to complain about the millennials and the Gen Xers and the Gen Yers and their phones, ladies and gentlemen, we are in awesome shape. As I have traveled around the country, I have met young firefighters. And the future is bright. The future is bright because we have people that really get it. They understand what our core mission is. Do they do things that are a little quirky? Yeah. But they understand our core mission. They understand that their role is to get between danger and the citizens. And so, with that, I say thank you to you. I'll be around for the next couple of days, but the future is bright. I'm turning it over to the most awesome person in the world, my brother, Tom Jenkins. And so, with that, it is time to do the installation of your 2017-2018 officers. So, thank you very much.